Murray, and today, like any day, we're cooking. I don't feel good about today. It's Wednesday, November 6th. Mari is exactly 4 months old today, so that's something exciting. But the world as I see it is uncertain and frankly terrifying. And there doesn't seem too much we can do about it, unfortunately. But I have 3 kids and 2 dogs, and my wife works full time. And at the end of the day today, everyone's going to need to eat dinner. So just like any other day, in a sense, I guess today I'm cooking. I am a full-time parent on a mortgage application a while back. Someone at the bank put down my profession as, housewife? I think housewife. And I loved it. So I'll happily describe myself as a housewife or a stay-at-home dad. I really like to cook. I cook pretty much every day of the week. Dinners, I make lunches for my kids. We're vegan and my wife has celiac disease. So everything I make is vegan and gluten-free. For the kids who are also vegan, fiercely so, I've told them many times they can be whatever they want. I was going to say be and eat whatever they want, or be and eat whoever they want. I guess they can't eat whomever they please, but they are the older kids, 8 and 5, are fiercely vegan. This one, I guess, is she's on a pretty limited diet right now for the time being. But I make school lunches for my kids every day because when they go to school, there's not a whole lot there they can eat. So I try to pack them something healthy. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. I'm fighting a constant battle against their changing tastes. But I don't know. I try to make dinners that everyone will like. I sometimes succeed and I sometimes don't. One of the things that I have found that I am pretty successful at getting my kids to eat is dosa. I like to describe dosa as sort of the South Asian tortilla. Depending where you come from, everywhere in the world has their own tortilla. I think maybe if you're coming from a different perspective, you'd say everywhere in the world has their own dosa, or everywhere in the world has their own naan, or I'm sure. Injera. Got there. Everyone has their own injera. Everyone has their own tortilla, their own dosa, their own thing that you wrap things in. But dosa, it's a South Asian pancake. Am I shouting? I've never made a video before. I'm sorry if I'm shouting. It's a South Asian rice and lentil based pancake, for want of a better term. But it's a good thing to wrap stuff in. They're remarkably easy to make. You can make a batch of dosa batter that keeps for a week or 2 pretty easily. And then it's ridiculously good for lunches. My kids love it with peanut butter and what, for ease of the user, I will call Nutella. But noce all'ota, just a vegan, just a hazelnut spread. There you go, hazelnut spread, chocolatey hazelnut spread. You can get a delicious vegan version of it, but it tastes much like what I remember Nutella tasting like. In the morning, so peanut butter and hazelnut spread, noce all'ota. I like to, pretty good. I like to make it with, sort of a breakfast burrito style. If you use something like just egg or a vegan egg in there, you can make wraps. I just this morning sent my wife off to work with a hummus and sprout and tomato wrap for lunch, among other things. And tonight we're having daal and dosa, sort of the beans and rice make up about probably 30% of what I like to cook for my family. It's pretty easy, pretty versatile. Right before we moved to, you okay? Right before we moved to Charlottesville, uh, my wife and I went on our first vacation in I don't know how long, and we went to Puerto Rico. And the hotel we stayed at had a chef, just phenomenal, and she made beans and rice into a otherworldly experience. And I came back from it thinking, this is what I need to do. I just need to make beans and rice taste this good all the time. So that's what I try to do. I like beans and rice. You buy you some dry beans, especially if you have an instant pot. Oh, come on now. Okay. We're gonna keep talking, keep cooking, and also feed a baby. If you buy, a big bulk. Oh, I gotcha. A big bulk thing of dry beans. You can get, you spend $8 or $10 on a few kilos. Oh, here we go. A big bag of beans. Oh, hold on, man. You know what? I'm gonna feed this baby and come back and finish this. All right, we're gonna try that. We got about half an hour until the big kids get up from school, get out of school, and I have to go pick them up. Try to pick up where I left off. I was talking about dosa, beans, rice, meat and potatoes, the rest of the world. Dosa's fantastic. It's super easy to make. You only need a couple of things. Daal and here we go. Testing the focus capacities of the camera. Idli rice. You can use dosa rice if you can get it. I always find dosa rice hard to come by. Idli rice, pretty easy to find. Daal, also very easy to find at a South Asian grocery store. Really easy to make. You need to soak your idli rice for about 8 hours, I suppose, 4 to 8 hours. I don't time it. And your daal for about an hour. I think any recipe that I've seen online and the way I was originally taught to make it, you soak them separately. Maybe there's a magic to that. I'm a simple man, I don't do it. But about a 4 to 1 ratio of rice to daal. Get you some idli rice. I usually make way too much. Probably a litres worth, call it 4 cups. That's nice. 4 cups worth of idli rice to a cup of daal. So put about 4 cups of your idli rice in whatever you're soaking it in. Soak it for a good, 4 to 8 hours. And then add some daal, a cup, let's say. Soak that for about an hour. And then I think traditionally it is ground using a giant mortar and pestle. I'm not above a mortar and pestle for many things, but for making that much of anything, you can't beat a blender. So I use the Vitamix. Vitamix is one of the... We've got a baby waking up. We'll see how we go. I use a Vitamix almost every day. I used to make nut milk in it, but I don't anymore. But the smoothies, soups, definitely dosa batter. So blend it until it's pretty smooth. It's not the end of the world if it's still a little gritty, because once you've done that, you end up letting it sit out at room temperature, ideally kind of warmish room temperature. Keep in mind this is traditionally made in India, especially in South India. It's pretty warm there. I like to let it ferment, soak, condition. I guess ferment technically. It's kind of like sourdough. Imagine a sourdough pancake made of rice and lentils, if you will. You want to let it ferment for about 8 hours. It ends up, I will show you, like this in your jug. You can perhaps see that it's a little bubbly in there. I was about to say, I like to let it ferment on top of my fridge because it's higher up. The fridge lets off a little heat. It keeps it nice and warm even when it's not super warm outside. The downside of this is if you have made too much and overfilled your bucket, it ends up overflowing just everywhere, which is what happened to me last night. in the middle of me being distracted, talking to my kids about being kind, one of my kids, in an effort to respect our family effort not to interrupt each other, stared at our fridge without saying a word until I finally looked at what she was looking at, and I had dosa batter just streaming down the side of the fridge in a fermented waterfall. We got it cleaned up. Now, once you've fermented it, you can also ferment it in something like this. This is a big clean canteen water bottle. I like to keep some in the fridge in something like this because it's easy to use and get to, and the rest of it in a big jug like that. You want to let it ferment for about 8 hours. It ends up a little frothy, a little tangy. I find after I've soaked everything, blended it, and fermented it, this pan is hot. I've not been paying attention because I've been cooking and taking care of a baby and playing around with the camera. Once it's fermented, it ends up a little frothy, and you can add a little bit of water to it. I've heard you can add salt to it if you don't like it too tangy. The longer it sits in your fridge, the tangier it gets, just like sourdough. So at the end of a week, I really like it. It ends up very tangy. It has sort of a fermented, tangy smell, certainly, and flavor to it. There are also traditional methods of cooking it that involve pouring it and smoothing it out. I fully respect the traditions, but I also am a very lazy man. And I have discovered that if you thin it out to a nice consistency, you can pour it in a pan, swirl it around, and you end up with something like a pancake. You want it in a hot pan. I use cast iron for almost everything. Shit, a brick. Well, that's why you make a lot of it, I guess. Okay, we're back. Baby in hand. I don't know why I chose to record this video today. Like I said, the day goes on. Everyone must eat. Did you just spit up on me? You nut. My spatula broke this morning, but I'm pretty sure we can still use it. I know. Are you hungry? All right. Bam. You got it? We're going to do it? You want to let your dosa cook until it comes pretty easily out of the pan. There we go. It'll be brown on the bottom, like so, brownish, and still kind of soft and pillowy on top. I find that if you let it sit just for a second, whatever toppings you're putting on will go on a lot more easily. My kids are mad for Vegemite as well, trying to keep the traditions alive. Even over here. So in the pan, give it a little swirl around to spread it out. You good? You're not even eating. There you go. Bam. And let that go, and you'll have you some dosa. So for the lentils, almost everything I cook starts with onions. People in recipes will tell you to cook onions until they soften for, what do they say, 5 to 10 minutes or 5 minutes or so. One of the biggest lies in cooking, you can't get an onion to cook to soft, really cook to soft for a recipe that wants them soft in less than, 10 minutes at least. What did I say? Nah, the recipes always tell you, 3 to 5 minutes. It doesn't work. But if you're cooking beans and letting the beans cook, then you can sort of cheat by not waiting for your onions to get cooked all the way, which would be my recommendation, because I don't always have time for that. When I'm cooking, like to spice things so they taste good. I make my own spice blend. We've got a masala, if you will, or a curry powder. You can buy, obviously, all sorts of spices. I have read, and I understand it to be true, that spices, once they're ground, start to lose their flavor pretty quickly. It's one of the reasons you shouldn't keep, a spice cabinet just packed full of every spice under the sun that you sit there, let sit there for years and years, because they'll end up just not tasting that good. Again, if you are already heading to your Desi grocery store, your South Asian grocery store, for idli rice or a dal. You can get most spices there just ridiculously cheap. The kind of things that you might find at Whole Foods for a bunch of money. You can get, whole fenugreek seeds, nutmeg. What do we have? Oh, there you go. Fennel seed, cumin seed. You can get these things whole pretty cheap. And then I like to toss them in a pan with usually a little bit of some beans, some urad dal, just dry beans, to sort of loosen it up, spread the heat around, toast them in a pan for a while, and then again put them in the blender. Whiz those up, and you end up with your own. Oh man, this is where it gets tricky. Can we do this? We can do this. I believe in. Your own spice blend. Look, mine looks like that. I don't know how our focus is on this camera. We're trying new things, and it's delicious. And then use that in anything you want. Boom. So we've got our onions cooking there. Like I said, beans are one of the most marvelous meals because you can easily clean out your fridge. I've got a couple of poblano. Ooh, I want to say poblano chilies. Man, this is the kind of thing that I remember at the right time that I bought for. Tamales I made the other day. Halloween. I made tamales on Halloween. These guys are looking a little manky, but you cook them up, they'll taste good. You cook them up with beans, and you are just going nuts on it right now, hey? Hold it in. Hold it in on camera. Are you okay? Alright, team. I'm a shitty thing. Half my cupboard is going to be from my local Indian grocery. Actually, I'll be honest, my local store is Nepali. Really, really nice guy from Nepal. He drives a Jeep with a license plate that just says Nepal. So but a really nice fella, and he carries, obviously, a whole lot of commodities, groceries that are common to the South Asia generally. Your beans, your rice, your lentils, all your spices, a lot of good veggies that aren't as common at a grocery store. When I'm making beans, I like to cook the beans in the Instant Pot. There's number 2. Vitamix, can't live without it. Obviously they're pricey. You can get a Vitamix, I think still refurb though, which is how we got ours, for like half the price of a new Vitamix. And our Vitamix we bought refurb, oh gosh, got to be about 8 years ago, and it is going as strong as it ever was. Instant Pot, number 2. I resisted the Instant Pot. I kept hearing people talk about it, and there's nothing that I'm going to want less than something other people think is good. I'm incredibly contrarian to my own detriment at times. But I finally got an Instant Pot, kind of went once we had kids. And man, you can cook you a thing of beans from start to finish in about an hour and 10. Which is quicker than you can possibly cook beans any other way. I'll make a lot of hummus, and you can cook chickpeas in, what's the difference between a garbanzo bean and a chickpea? You can cook chickpeas from start to finish in hour and 10 minutes for beans, from warming up, cooking to done, and then make hummus at home. It's amazing. You can cook, kidney beans, black beans, pinto beans, start to finish, hour and 10, set it for an hour, you're good to go. So if you're making beans, I recommend cooking them in the Instant Pot first, making whatever you're going to toss them in, your onions, garlic, veggies, what have you, ginger, and then once the beans are cooked, tossing them in. If you're making lentils, you don't need to, because you can cook lentils pretty quickly. Ooh, don't fall. Pretty quickly, just on the stove. One step that I think helps, there's probably a term for it, but cook the lentils in the pan for a little bit. You want to get them nice and warm. You kind of, there we go. You get them cooked a little bit with the oil, they get hot, and then add the water and they'll cook up nicely. The other thing I have here is some ginger and some lemongrass. On a whim, I planted lemongrass in my garden 6 months ago, and it's going gangbusters. They're still, you know, they're little, they're smaller than the ones you get at the shops. But it grows pretty happily, and I figure that probably once it's been in the ground a year or two, the stalks will start getting bigger. But in the meanwhile, it's tasty, and you know, you can do things, depending how you feel. Lemongrass can be a little stringy, it doesn't always break down that much when you're cooking, but I spit out enough dog hair from dinner every night that a couple of pieces of lemongrass aren't going to hurt me. So I've got ginger and lemongrass in there. Smells good. What do you reckon? You gotta throw up in there. Get that going. Bam. What time is it? Oh, we got time. We got time. We're gonna get this going, and then it can just sit for a while. We'll pick up the kids, run errands, and run around town, and then when we get home, I'll have a pot of lentils that I can turn on and get warm again. I'll have dosa batter, and if you want to do rice, you know, again, instant pot, you can do rice in the instant pot, cook it for 5 minutes, you know, you count the warm-up time, and you're in for 10 minutes, start to finish. Anywho, you know, a little curry powder, masala, whatever you want to call it. A lot, a little. Woo. Boom, get that in there, stir that around. Oh, I'd eat that. Now I did cheat. I chopped up the tomatoes when she wasn't in my hand. So that's gonna make this a little easier. Alright, and then, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure if I had unlimited time, or I wasn't trying to film myself doing it and plagued by the anxiety of not performing, cook your tomatoes in there for a little bit. Are we still between holding a baby and having old peppers, we're going to lose a little bit here, but can we do this? Oh, look at that. Sharp knife will get you every time. There we go. Can we whoop, whoop, whoop. Get it going. Get out of here, you. 1, 2. You know, I figure if you let them cook long enough, even the big chunks kind of soften up. There we go. And honestly, if the texture you're going for is just a big pot of beans, a big chunk's not going to throw anyone off. Oh, okay. So we'll throw some peppers in there, like I said, just to get them going. I got some seeds going in. I don't think these are terribly spicy. It's one of those things that you find out when you eat it. Tolerable. I like to warm up the water so when I pour it in I'm not at risk of damaging my pan or cooling things off too much. Yeah. Is that my beverage? No. Get the water in there, let that go for a bit. Salt. Apparently salt and tomatoes are not great for cooking beans. I think the acids in the tomatoes harden the skins of your beans and make them cook slower. And I've heard that salt does something similar. I don't know if it's true, but I don't know. If you've got enough time and you're not worried about how quickly they're going to cook, I guess salt it whenever you want. I usually do. I'm here, I'm salting it now. And then you can get at least a bit of an idea. Hey you, dog needs out. Get a bit of an idea how it's going to taste. But you want to let that cook. Are you going out as well? Dog wants out. Alright, okay. Are we in or out? Go on. You nuts. Let that go for a little bit. You should be good. I like to shred some lettuce, and then depending how fancy I'm feeling, you can make a little garnish. You are going to mess this right up. All right, here we go. Get you a little garnish. You could do. I like to cube up or dice apple. Small dice. Is that a thing? Apple, squeeze a lime juice, put some fresh mint leaves, chop them up, a little bit of salt, mix that all together. But yeah, mix that together, plop it on the side. Shredded lettuce, just squeeze some lime juice over it, put a little bit of olive oil in there if you want, doesn't matter. And then I serve beans and some lettuce, get your green on the plate with some dosa, and you're good to go. This will take about, probably about 15, 20 more minutes until those lentils are really cooked. But we don't have that much time before we need to leave to go get the girls. So I guess I'll, I don't know, take a picture of it. I'm about to become a person who takes pictures of food. And maybe I'll whack that at the end of the video. Anyway, beans and dosa, could be beans and rice. I commend dosa unto you. They are one of the most versatile foods ever. I've got a lot on my hands. And being able to make something, like I said, pretty cheap, pretty versatile, really quick, fairly healthy. You know, it's a lot of beans in it, so you get some protein. Make you a little pancakey thing. You can roll around some peanut butter. Oh, peanut butter with banana, a little bit of brown sugar, cinnamon. Now you're talking. But yeah, you can make a wrap for lunch. You can make a little breakfast wrap. Feeling fancy, you can make kind of breakfasty burrito things. Obviously, none of this is in keeping with any sort of cultural tradition, but I beg, borrow, and steal from anywhere I can when I'm trying to feed everyone. It's a mishmash. But there you go. That's dinner tonight. It'll be ready when the kids are ready for dinner. It'll be some leftovers for lunch tomorrow. It'll get us through today, and we'll just keep on getting through every day, cooking as we go. Thanks for joining. I look forward to, I guess, making more of these. Hopefully people will see them, and we can talk about cooking and, I don't know, homemade tattoos and politics and badly behaved dogs. Take it easy, guys. That's good stuff.